And the reason this live is so important is quite simply because right after this live, we're going to have the first ever uh, sensory design and sensory deconditioning class in the archive. And so you guys probably don't know what the archive is. What's up, Philly? But it's this membership that I've just created with one of my teachers and partners and students, um, all three, where he's a peer of mine. But in this instance, he is one of the greatest teachers that I've ever had. A lot of the sensory deconditioning stuff, the sensory exercises, etc., um, that I've been sharing with you guys have come from him, and he's been teaching me these things, and we've been working together for almost 4 years now in this, and each in our own ways on like how do we get spirituality and all this stuff about spirituality into a more like integrated place is really the question. And so yeah, it's very exciting. We have a class happening in 2 hours right after this live here, and yeah, I'm just super stoked about it. So anyway, for anybody on YouTube here, if there's, I don't know if I actually can see anybody, if anybody's on YouTube. I just upgraded my internet, so hopefully, if you're watching this, the picture quality is better or it's smoother and there's less interruptions. Hopefully, because I upgraded to Starlink, and it's more expensive, but it's also satellite, which is great. So Abby, thank you for sharing the live. I think you're in the archive, right, Abby? I'm pretty sure. I remember your name. Um, Stoked to have you here. Um, really stoked for class. I'm like so nervous and excited about it because like when I learned this for the first time, there was so much like awakening that happened for me emotionally, like very unexpected, kind of like emotional awakening. Abby, that's right, you did join yesterday. Cool, yes. So yeah, right after this, we're gonna be having that sensory design class, and yeah, again, like for me, there was just so much kind of like of like awakening happening, emotional awakening and physical awakening at the same time, but it was very unexpected because the exercise we were doing weren't necessarily like super hard exercises, but they were doing a lot for me. And that's the thing, is like, not that hard exercise is bad, but not all exercise has to be huffing and puffing, right? Like there are a lot of benefits to exercising in a more subtle way, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in the archive together. So with that being said, we're in a new transit, guys. So if you're feeling any like blaming energy, whether you want to blame someone or other people are blaming you, this is why. We're in the transit gate 10, right? So the sun, every like 5 or 6 days, it moves into a new gate. And this sun transit is arguably the most influential thing in our lives as individuals and as a collective, because 70% of the neutrinos that are moving through us and interacting with our bodies are coming directly from the sun. And so what's really exciting is that, if you track the transits or you learn to track the transits, you're not necessarily going to be that surprised by what's going on. So anyway, I got on here hoping you were live, but realized it wasn't Monday. Oh no, yeah, it's Friday though, but we are live Friday. I go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's the schedule for now, at least. And then Uncomfortable Soul, I'm pretty sure you're in the archive as well. We're having our first sensory design class happening on right after this call. So go log into the after this call. Go log into the archive. Great, and yeah, we're gonna be doing a live class with my teacher Pasha. You didn't miss it yet. It's not gonna happen for another like 2 hours, so you didn't miss it. And if you do miss it, that's okay because it's gonna be recorded, and you'll be able to get access to it. But anyway, how is I'm like kind of tempted to go here and see how this looks. That would be cool if it didn't. You're terrible. Oh my god, it looks great. Okay, I just upgraded my Starlink, you guys. So um, I'm just stoked on it. Flowbug, yeah, there is a fee. It's you just have to be in the membership, so it's $37, and that's for 4 classes, and that's also every time I go live here, I'm also live in the archive. And for anybody in the archive, like I noticed someone was like, "Hey, read my chart." if you're viewing the live through the archive chat and you're like, hey, can you look at my chart? And I'm like, not really like doing anything. I don't do it here on TikTok live, just because it's like sometimes it's like so wild. But right now, like the archive, because we only have about 35 members right now, it's I'm able to do that kind of stuff. So if you want to take advantage of that and get like your body graph read and all that stuff during these lives, I'm going to be doing for the archive members, but it's a special link that you'll get inside the archive for all of that. So literally running. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. And I'm making some tea as well, which I'm already feeling pretty excited, but um, yeah, I definitely am very very juiced up today on some stuff because I've been working on this, guys, for a long time, and I've been looking for the right partner for a long time. And I knew I found him when I found him, but it still took some time for us to sync some things up. Elle, what is your ethnicity? So I am a Mexican, Spanish, Filipino, German hybrid. My dad is Mexican, German, Spanish, and my mom is Filipino, and maybe some other things. But I'm what you would call mestizo, or yeah, mixed. I'm a mixed boy, and it's something that actually, I never really was like insecure about it, but I definitely didn't really resonate with with any one culture in particular. And then when I learned that I was a reflector, that kind of like opened my eyes up to like, oh, why don't I resonate with like this culture or that culture? And it's quite simply it's because I'm like, oh, I'm multifaceted in this way. I got a bunch of different genes and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you, appreciate it. I think moving forward, there's so many beautiful blends of ethnicities that are starting to emerge, and I feel like my daughter, for instance, my partner is Portuguese, Hawaiian, and Irish, and so there's going to be so many like how you say like little mixed babies running around, and I just think that's awesome. Romeo, what's up? Greetings, my friend. Greetings. I never thought how human design could impact that. Interesting. Yeah, and it's funny because in the way that human design impacts the way people are able to see past physical differentiations and start to see more into energetic, emotional, mental differentiations. I think that's one of the things that is really beautiful about human design is it's like, yeah, we're all different, but physically speaking, like we're very similar. Energetically speaking, though, we're very very different. And by physically I mean, like, people's arms work the same way. Bicep has two muscles, right? There's two heads of the bicep. Tricep, there's three in everyone's body, unless there's like wild mutations happening in your body. For the general most part, like, everyone's bodies has the same relationship with gravity. It's just that if your body isn't attuned to gravity, then gravity is just suppressing you. Like, you don't know how to resist gravity without it being this like massive effort kind of thing. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to be as much fun as if you're able to actually use gravity to create the opposite of gravity, which is levity, which is to lift yourself up. Abby's watching from the archive. Yeah, that's what's up. Maria's here as well. What do I need to do exactly if I want to get a quick reading off of my chart? How do I share my chart? So, um, there's a couple things that we could do here, guys. What the best thing probably would be if you have neutrino design, and I would be able to you'd be able to export your chart code, your shared chart code, and then send it here in the archive chat, and then I'd be able to pull that up on my end, and I'd be able to just like look at everything that I need to look at. That would be the ideal and the best way, the most efficient way to do it. If not, I'm like, you guys can't really send pictures. um Suppose you could just send your information right here on the archive chat. That would work. It'll take me a little bit to get there, but things are pretty slow here on TikTok right now, TBH. So feel free to do that. Or again, like, I would prefer if you were using neutrino design already, that would be the easiest way. Just go get your import code, pop it in here, and I'll be able to pretty sure I can do that. Ding 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 ding. Are the colored circles under modes and stats new on neutrino? Because that is crazy. So those are not new. Those have been around for a while, actually. And I'll tell you what's really interesting about those is that they're not necessarily like you don't necessarily look at human design that way if you're a traditionalist. That's something I've never seen in any app before, and I think it's really cool. Honestly, I really think it's one of the coolest things. Um, Amanda, what's up? We got the archive chat popping off now. What's up, guys? Yeah, so I can't do the import code on the web version, but if you guys, Amanda, Marie, and Abby, if you guys just want to send me your information like right here in the chat, um, do that. Marie, okay, great. Thank you for sending that code. Unfortunately, I misspoke. I can't use that code, but I'm happy you're on Neutrino Design. I can use it on mobile, but I can't on the web version. The web version is still kind of like in development. And actually, let me send a message to the developer asking about that because that is still a pretty cool concept. Dun, 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 dun. I'm new here. What's Neutrino Design? So Neutrino Design is just a human design app. And it's not just a human design app; it's the best human design app. Objectively, because it's not my app, but I do have a partnership with them. But when I learned about this app, I was like, oh my god, this is actually the best app. Like I really want. I wish this was my app. And then I found the developer, and we became really good friends. But for anyone that doesn't know what human design is a synthesis of um, it's a synthesis of Western astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and the Hindu Brahmin chakra system. And it's a way of you were singing that song in your head too. I know what's going on, dude. I'm here. I think I just heard it on a video actually, before coming on live. Just it's so funny. But anyway, Amanda, Abby, and Marie. If you send you guys' birthday information, I can pull your charts up here on my computer. Which thank you for being patient with me, but I definitely will get to that. Um, but anyway, the what do I want to say here? Human design and neutrino design is like the most modern way to look at human design. Merry Christmas, guys. I celebrate Christmas. And I know I believe I know the roots. I've studied a lot of like occult wisdom, and I believe I know the roots of human design, and or not human design of Christmas. And despite a lot of like the commercialism and bastardization that's happened with it, like I still really enjoy this holiday, guys. And so I wish for all of you to have a Merry Christmas. And if you celebrate another holiday, I wish for that to be wonderful and happy as well. My prayer really is that like you are surrounded by the people that you love, that they know that you love them, and that you know that they love you. I think that's the most important part about these kinds of holidays because this is typically a time, winter is, when we're going to lose people. You know, historically speaking, winters have always been the harder times, uh, generally speaking, because it's cold, people die. People can't get enough food. Food is not necessarily as abundant as in spring or summer. You know, it's a season of death and it's a cycle of death. And so, yeah, it's really wild to how you say to be living in a time when, and especially in a place, because I live in a very tropical place, right? And so it's really wild to have and I grew up in a pretty tropical coastal desert place. Like we don't really have winter, you know. Ego Manifester 25 here. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you. I am. I'm very excited about today. So for those of you that aren't aware, there's a class happening right after this call at 11 a.m. Hawaii time. So it's like going to be an hour and 45 minutes after this call where we are going to be like opening up the can of worms in terms of um, sensory design and teaching you guys what I've been talking about for the past month nonstop, which is like how to bridge the all of the information and get your senses involved with human design. Teku. Oops, I'm totally. I'm totally like convoluting birthdays. Okay, let's start with Amanda because Amanda came first. Or actually, who was in here first? Abby was in here first. Let's go. Let's go with Abby first. Sorry, Amanda. I'll be able to get to the three of you. So no, hello JNet. It's not. It's not on. It's not on YouTube. This is going to be a private class. And if you want to join that membership, JNet, I would let go of the subscription here on TikTok, and I would get that archive subscription. If you want to join class, synchronicity much, you just got to join the archive, and then there's a calendar in the archive that will have the link to class. Um, Romeo, you don't have to download Riverside. You could actually just watch from. I'm pretty sure you can just watch from a link, but you might have to. Let's see. Hello, I first hear and learn about human design with your content. I am curious of Smith yours. I hope you're curious about yours because yeah, it's an incredible system, and I'm stoked that you found out about it because of me. I'm like, how many people's lives did I ruin by by teaching them about human design? It's so funny. Therefore, oh, what am I even doing over here? I'm like trying to do this backwards. If you guys, okay, so sorry for the archive people. I'm totally just like, hopefully you guys have posted your, Abby, if you've posted your body graph, which I'm pretty sure I responded to your body graph before, um, in the body graph gallery, I'll be able to find it. Abby, there you are. Oh my God, silly Marco. Okay, Abby, so 4-6 projector with the channel of struggle. I love it. I love it. I found out of human design because of you as well. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, so the archive is it's my membership. It's me and my partner's membership. My partner Pasha. So I'm bringing like a lot of the human design, Reiki. I'm also kind of more forward presenting in terms of like have a larger following on social media. Pasha, who is the guy that is like really like the mad scientist behind sensory design, which is the combination of human design and somatic and sensory mechanic exercises and how to decondition yourself using your physical senses. Um, yeah, that's the class. The archive is just like all of our best stuff is going to go there. And right now it's only $37 a month, which the price is going to go up after the new year, I guarantee, because we're already getting like a lot of attention. But anyway, let's jump into your chart. Struggle. It's your only channel. It's the 3828. And if you're looking at the body graph, this connects the spleen to the right side of the body, to the or sorry, the root to the right side of the body. So the root is going to be like adrenals. This is stress. The spleen is quite literally the spleen in your body, right? So right over here on the right side of your body is your spleen. The spleen's job is to filter blood. It's to deploy white blood cells. It's to scan the blood for pathogens, bacteria, viruses, stuff like that. And so it's the awareness center that helps keep you alive, right? And it uses fear as a fuel source to do this. And so, one of the important things about recognizing that when you have fears come up, fears are meant to be alerting you to danger, right? And in particular, with this gate, this 28 in your spleen, Abby, is really it's the thing that's like letting you know, is this risk worth taking or is it not worth taking? And typically, the spleen doesn't have a like a mental language or a shareable language. It's like a ringing in your ear or like a fogginess in your head or a feeling in your body of like, I don't know, that doesn't feel good. If you can think about when you get close to the edge of a really high cliff or something like that, and you're like, oh my God, like that's, you get that tingle up your butt, like that's your spleen being like, yo, danger, right? Danger. And so it's really important to heed that because if you don't make it a practice to listen to your intuition, you listen to your spleen, listen to those fears, and see for yourself whether or not there's actual danger, or maybe you're just running from a tiger that you've been running from since second grade, right? Um, yeah, life is not really going to have much meaning for you, Abby. And so the whole point of the channel of struggle is really to contextualize like what risks are worth taking, what is worth struggling for. I actually have a student who has this same body graph as you. Ray, she's actually going to be joining the archive pretty soon, but I would love for Abby, for you and her to connect, because it's so interesting to connect with people who have the same body graph or the same circuitry or the same channels as you. Because again, she's also a splenic projector with the channel of struggle. Now, some other things that are like kind of coming out at me with your chart, Abby, is your open heart. So the heart is the small triangle just to the right of the diamond in the middle, right? It's the one that's kind of like oddly out of place, but again, it's your heart. And the heart is the center for willpower. It's the center for achievement and ego and success on the material plane. And so when you have an open heart like you do, Abby, there's going to be this like very strong temptation to like prove yourself, because inherently you're not really going to be looking at the world through the lens of, am I in control? Am I the best? Am I the one delivering? Am I first? That's not necessarily your lens. That's probably somebody else's lens that you've learned that you've picked up and started looking at yourself through this. Oh my God, I'd love to meet her. Yeah, Abby, she's a sweetheart. She's a beautiful singer. She's a mom as well, and she's brilliant. So yeah, Matilda, hey, what's up, man? It's getting packed over here in the archive. Okay, so Abby, I'm gonna move on to the next person. If you guys have any questions about your autograph, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll get into it. And so let's see who's next. Let's see, Marie. Let's go. Wow, this system is so much better than what I was planning on doing. Oh my God. Okay, Marie, emotional projector. Wow, so many projectors. I love it. My mom is a projector. My partner's a projector. Y'all are my absolute favorite. I feel like um, one of the things about projectors that I love so much is that um, I don't want this to sound mean, but it's like y'all are so cute when you are like, you're like, I'm just like overwhelmed and I don't know what to do, and then I'm just like, hey, just like lay down for a second, just like a second, just lay down for a second, and or like just take care of yourself, drink some water, right? Speaking of drinking water, ah, ah, I'm falling. Okay. So Gingy, so the archive is it's my private membership. That's kind of, you guys see me in TikTok here. You guys might be seeing me talking to another chat. That's the archive. It's $37 a month right now. It's early entry. Price is going to go up, but this is where we're going to be teaching sensory design, which is the combination of somatic exercises and sensory mechanics and biomechanics in human design. Essentially, what we're doing is we're helping people take their human design from being this mental construct to actually being a physical sensation and a tangible thing. And this is me and my dear friend Pasha. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at your chart, Megan. I'm also doing live readings, but you have to be in the archive chat, which is the only way you can get that chat is through being a member of the archive. Y'all so cool. Thanks, man. I hope you're not being sarcastic, but anyway, you're slaying. You're slaying. Flowbug, we got to get you in the archive. I would love to have you in the archive, guys. This is like, and this is so cool because for a long time I've really wanted to be able to like give more without exhausting myself. One of my shadows, and let me know if you resonate, one of my shadows has always been giving more than is asked of me, and therefore there's not reciprocity to reciprocate everything that I'm giving. And so oftentimes I've felt in my life, especially professionally and romantically, like I'm giving so much but I'm not really getting a lot in return. And I recognize that my point of accountability here is to recognize when I'm like over giving and there's not an avenue of anything. So anyway, dog, I don't know. Someday I will have money. It will happen so easy peasy. Yeah. Keep sticking around, Flowbug. There'll be some money flowing in. Also, I love that you tell the projectors to let's drink some water and lay down. It's so real. It's so real. It's so real. Okay, so let's look at you, Megan. First thing that I noticed right out the gates is that you have two open centers as well. Your open centers are the sacral and the spleen, which these are probably like, aside from the emotional center, these are like incredibly sensitive centers, meaning that, so when you have an open center, right, it means that you're going to be experiencing typically other people's sacral responses, other people's splenic awareness before your own, especially if you're around these people often, like if you're conditioned to them. Like Megan, you're probably more conditioned to your partner, your children's sacral responses than you are to your own. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only bad if you think that it's a problem, right? That's like a fish being like, "What the heck? I have gills and I breathe underwater. What's wrong with me?" It's like, dude, it's nothing. Nothing is wrong with you. You just have to use those pieces in a you just have to use those pieces in your life. Date of birth, March 9th, 1993, at how you say 1803. Yeah, 1803 in San Diego. That's if anyone wants to run my chart. Oh no, did we lose connection here? Nope. Maybe for a bit, maybe for a minute, but the Starlink is going strong. How's the resolution, guys, in the archive chat? If you guys don't mind letting me know, I'm curious. This is the first time I'm using this new internet. So anyway, back to your chart, Megan. Yes, lagging. Okay, now. Yeah, yeah, we should be back on TikTok here in a bit. But anyway, okay, so let's see. Those open centers are really what you have to be mindful of is not knowing when enough is enough and holding on to things that are not good for you. If any of those two things come up for you, Megan, I don't know when enough is enough, or I'm holding on to things that are good for me, not good for me. That's a great time to actually kind of like retract yourself from any kind of situation. Like if you're out with friends and again, you don't know when enough is enough. Um, Great time to like go outside or lay down somewhere for a second and just like reset your energy. Um, because you want to like clear the energy that's pooling up in there. And what's really cool about this is all this stuff that I'm talking about. It's going to be made so much more clear to you when this is happening, as because of class that's going to happen in like a little over like an hour and a half, right? Because it's like there's certain things that we can't do right now, and it's not because we can't do them, they're just inaccessible to us. It's not a personal problem, there's nothing wrong with us. It's just that there's a neurological disconnection, right? And so for you, Marie, you also have a split definition. So your root and your solar plexus, your center for stress and emotions, are not connected to your manifestation, conceptualization, and inspiration centers. And so this can sometimes feel like there's emotions in you that seem like really dysregulated. Um, and that you have trouble speaking your emotions, or at least speaking your emotions consistently, because there's not a bridge between that 22 and the 12, going from your solar plexus and your emotional center to your throat. um, and this is something that your emotional wave is really built on tribal touch. And so when you are an emotional wave, one of the best things that you can seek out is tribal touch from people that you trust with your life, basically, that do things enough the same as you, that you trust them with your life. You trust them to take care of you when you're sick, and you would take care of them when they're sick. um, and then in those other two open centers, just being really mindful about your connections with people. And especially when you feel like, oh, I don't know when enough is enough, or I'm holding on to things that are bad, not good for me. A lot of the times you're not doing that of your own accord, you're doing that because of a relationship that you have. And so yeah, that's what I see. Another part of your chart that I think is really important is you have a lot of individual circuitry in your head and your throat, meaning that you have the 6124, which connects your head to your ajna. And this is the ability to have unique insights and have the like aha moments. And then the 4323, which is the ability to take those unique insights and share it. Now both of those are non-motorized, meaning they're projector channels. And so if you have those channels, the 6124 and the 4323, like you got to be really mindful about waiting for invitations, even if you're not a projector type, but especially if you're a projector type, because if there's no energy energizing those things, uh yeah, that's there's no energy energizing it. So anyway, did anyone else hear him saying there's nothing wrong with you 20 times in the lag? Because Received as fuck. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just there's a lack of understanding of how you actually are, and there's the presence of this belief that you have to be like other people. You know what I mean? That's called conditioning. And so when I'm talking about undefined centers and open centers, these are areas where in your chart what I'm looking at is the ability to be open, which gets taken advantage of. You look at indigenous peoples, they're like very hospitable. They show the colonizers how to use the land and ride the animals and stuff like that. And what happens? Look at the movie Avatar, they blow it all up. You know, the colonizers blow it up because they have an agenda for it. They have an idea of what they want it to be, and it's not that. Now, I'm not saying the indigenous people are totally absolved of any of their sins because indigenous people colonized each other as well. But what we have here is the individual, the colonization of an individual, and the homogenization of an individual, meaning that we're gonna take this individual person and we're gonna make them like everybody else, so that it's easier to control them, so that it's easier to sell them things, etc. There's a lot of reasons why people in positions of influence will do this to other people. But and it's also there's not a reason at all. It's unconscious. Just because it's like the way that I am in the world, I'm trying to figure out what the best way to be is, right? Or I'm trying to figure out what the most peaceful way to be is. And in doing that, I'm going to look at everybody else, and if everybody else isn't doing this thing, I'm going to look at myself and be like, am I doing something wrong because other people are doing this? That's called conditioning. And that's a mind virus. That's not what observation is meant to do. It's not meant to make you insecure. It's meant to make you say, oh wow, look how in control that person is, or look how extreme that person is, or look how much rhythm that person has, or look how open that person is. It's not, oh my god, should I be more open, should I be less open? That's conditioning. And that's where a lot of people are stuck because they're focused, right? They're focused on the external world, and they're focused in a way where they're not able to access what's called peripheral vision. So it would be this, it would be like, you know, you're walking on the floor, but the only thing you can see is you know, a balance beam, when in actuality, like, you can step all over here, but you're like tightrope walking on a regular floor. That's what it's like being locked in focus. And the smartphones, social media, all of this stuff, it's like, I'm conditioned, right? And that's great actually, because one of the most important tools for deconditioning yourself is going, is like being disgusted with where you've been, what you've done, because once you move through that disgust, then you can get to appreciation, which no one wants to get to this part, because it's like, well, how am I supposed to find appreciation or gratitude for losing my job, for my partner cheating on me, for me losing a child? You know, there's a lot of really wild things that happen in life. And until you move through the layers of emotion, you're always going to be enslaved to that conditioning. And so it's important to move through the anger so that you can get to the sadness, so that you can get to the acceptance, so that you can get to the finding of gratitude of it. Right? That's what loving yourself means. At least that's what I think loving yourself means. Say, Amanda says, I'm married to a projector. That's such good advice. Just drink some water. Yep, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, that tracks. Yep. I'm Marie. Wow, thank you. You guys are great. I love it. Oh, I'm reading Megan's chart. Whoops. A lot of the stuff I said about projectors is tracking. And Marie, your chart is actually very similar. So you have the 4323 as well. So basically everything that I just said is the same. Your uh emotional channel as well, Marie, is also a tribal channel. So sorry for confusing those charts, but it's funny. You guys are actually so very similar. Your channel, it comes through the channel of community though. So that's, instead of a revolution, it's more so about like making bargains and shaking hands with people, creating equitable. Ooh, there's the tea. Let's go. First sip of tea is so different. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, sorry guys. But dude, that's so funny. Marie and who else was chart was I just reading? Marie, and I was reading Megan's, which I don't think Megan is here, but anyway, Anyways, okay, so let's see. So yeah, Marie, if you have any specific question, and this one thing as well, to just to learn how I work, guys. The general stuff, I can do the general stuff. It's super fun. But if you are curious, your curiosity will help to lead my nose to find more things that are relevant for you. So if you have anyone in the archive chat has any if you have any like cool questions or curiosities that you want to explore, um, just let me know. Just let me know. And if it is sensitive for you and you don't want to talk about it live, because we are live right now, you can send me a DM in the archive. So, Bobby, I'm adding Reiki to my practice. I always compare my practice to other people. Bobby, my mom does that a lot too. My mom has one of the strongest healing presences that I've ever experienced. And she will very often, like, I'll be like, wow, that feels really good. I haven't done this in years. I haven't seen her in a while, for a long time. Um, but whenever she puts her hands on me, I can feel the energy flowing through me, and I'll say something, and she'll be like, "Oh, what? I wasn't doing anything." And that's the whole thing, is like Reiki is not really something that you do. It's something that you allow. If you're doing anything to help Reiki, you're looking at the things that are preventing Reiki from flowing, like being dehydrated, like hanging around people that are gossipy, like drinking alcohol, like getting lifted, right? Like all these, there's so many things that inhibit the flow of Reiki, and it doesn't mean that it's going to completely stop it. I don't think. I mean, when you die, right? That's when it stops flowing. But there is some kind of like transformation, and that energy does kind of like find a new way to flow, just not necessarily through your physical body. Uh, but yeah, it's really important to how you say, acknowledge that Reiki is not something that you do, it's something that you allow, right? Like you allow your heart to beat, but are you aware of it? So the more aware of it you are, the stronger it becomes perceptively. Abby, so if I'm in my sacral and I'm with someone who has an undefined sacral, how would that affect them? Got it. So typically, if you are like Abby, you have a undefined sacral. So you have that open sacral. So it's not necessarily going to affect the other person as much as it's going to affect you. Meaning that, like, when you have a defined sacral and an undefined sacral, um, then the undefined sacral is the one that's going to get affected. The undefined sacral is usually just going to echo the defined sacral. Spleen. Okay, so yeah, so if you're around somebody and this is really fun for anybody with a defined spleen, because Abby is asking about her spleen. How does my defined spleen affect people? There's a multitude of ways, but the spectrum is typically either people are going to feel really good around you because you feel healthy and they feel like they can rely on you and they feel taken care of by you, because that's what the spleen's job is to do, is to keep you alive, is to keep you healthy, is to find anything that's not good for you and cut it away. That's like the spleen's job. I always view the spleen like this kind of like cutthroat, how you say, bodyguard to this like beautiful queen, right? And the queen is just like, oh, my head hurts, this person just walked in, like, get them out. And the bodyguard is just like sink and just like pushes them out. So anybody around you, that feels safe for you to have them around, typically you're going to be able to offer them a similar layer of protection, or a feeling of safety. But you got to be really mindful, because people can be completely addicted to your spleen, right? It's like a hit of like serotonin or dopamine, more so dopamine than serotonin, because it's very like when people touch you, and if you have a defined spleen and you're taking care of yourself, and again, you can have a defined spleen and be totally suck ass at taking care of yourself, and then people will also feel that. Like if you have a defined spleen and you're not taking care of yourself, like anyone that touches you and they have an undefined spleen, they're going to feel that lack of health. But typically, if you're taking good care of yourself, and if you're listening to your spleen and your intuition, and the like little ringing in your ear, or the brain fog, or the throat closing up, and you're like, oh, these are signals from my spleen to like kind of like either withdraw my energy or look at the invitations that are present. Sometimes the spleen will alert you to your movements or your energy investment into something where you haven't been invited, right? Like maybe you walk into a house at a party and your throat gets sore, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna walk back outside till someone invites me into the party. And it not to say that like, oh, you have to become like this crazy wild watcher of energy, but why would you not want to be that? right? Why would you not want to be able to listen to these subtle cues that your body is sending you and respond in a way that is helping to decondition you from the way that everybody else wants you to show up, so that you can show up in your life the way that you actually want to show up. That's kind of the magic of this whole thing. Um, so yeah, so Abby, with your spleen, again, people are going to feel your spleen. Either it's going to be a reflection of your health and your vitality. And also another thing about the spleen, right, is that the spleen is also very judgmental. And so one of the things that you want to be really mindful of is not to pass judgment on, for instance, people that take risks that you wouldn't. Don't bother really with, unless they're asking you like, hey, do you think this risk is worth taking? What you want to say is like, I wouldn't take that risk, right? But if you want to take that risk, I don't know what that's going to show you, but for me, my intuition tells me that that's not a risk worth taking. But that's for me. And you see, this is the thing about, like, the good projector is the one that knows how to own a projection. Right? The good projector is the one that knows how to say, like, look, I wouldn't do that, but if that's something that you want to do, we just can't be friends, because I'm not gonna watch this happen. Like, that doesn't work for me. And it really is, again, a taking accountability of your projections, because that's what you're here to do as a projector. You're here to project. You're here to absorb information and then project it onto others. So I'm gonna need to Google a list of physical sensations my spleen sends to me. So Gigi, Google's not gonna help you in this area, actually, because again, what you're doing is you're filling your mind with, like, okay, look for this, look for this, look for this, look for this. What I would say to you instead is pick a trigger. Okay, it could be holding onto your right ear, it could be holding your chin like this, it could be plugging your nose, it could be pinching your eyebrow. But what I want you to do is find ways to incorporate this trigger into your life. Jenny, what's up? Miss you. Use this trigger as a way of kind of like talking to your spleen. The right ear is a really good one, especially if you have gate 58 defined in your chart. But the right ear is a great one. Um, and when you use that trigger, right, press the button on and think it's like, okay, I'm listening to my spleen. If you think your spleen is trying to communicate with you, access your trigger and be like, okay, I'm listening to my spleen. And you have to discern the difference between thoughts and splenic sensations, right? Because again, like, the spleen is has to do with your immune system. So you can go to Google. It's not like, hey, Google's not going to help you. But ultimately, in the long run, it's like Google is kind of not going to help you. You have to like physically experience this for yourself. Oh wow, the chat has blown up. Sorry guys, I didn't scroll down. I always do that where I'm like going up and being like, oh, let me answer all the questions. So, okay, let's see. Matilda, can you please look at my chart and share about the cross of rulership experience? I share in the archive that I tend to have issues, especially with people with 21 open ego connecting my 45. We have the same situation, my friend. I have the 45 as well. Trying to control or lead, prove something, but just in general, would love to hear about rulership because I don't know one personally who has it. So for me, what I had to get clear on is my standard of working with someone. So it's like, if you're an alcoholic, I'm not going to work with you. If you are the type of person that is unwilling to communicate on a regular basis, I'm unwilling to work with you. That's the whole point of the 45, is to find somebody who is willing to be in control of what you give them control over, and like trust your leadership. That's what rulership is really about, because there's been plenty of people who have put me in positions of rulership that didn't trust the boundaries that I set for them, and they weren't heeding my counsel. And it's like, why did you even give me permission to guide this thing? Why are you calling me the strategist if you're not asking for what strategies and you're just moving forward? So anyway, that is that. Abby, that explains a lot. Okay, great. I'm trying to get caught up over here, guys. But yeah, Matilda, I definitely can resonate with that. That's something that, again, since you're in the archive, we can talk about that a lot more. Um, that's a great concept, and actually, I don't have a lot of people to talk about that as well. So I was listening to Ra's video on a projector, and he explained that it takes 7 years for a projector to really master something or realize that a relationship is not good for them. That was so interesting. It took me exactly 7 years to get out of my last relationship. Marie, yeah, Ra says some wild stuff that it's like, in hindsight, is like, oh my god. Now I don't think that 7 year thing is how you say limited to projectors. I think a lot of the times non-sacral beings like manifestors and reflectors also take kind of a long time to figure out, but it has to do with the rate of deconditioning. Like if we look at the cellular refresh rate, it's about 7 years. Some things happen faster, like your eyes are like 4 or 5 years. Some things take a lot longer, like 10 years. But generally speaking, it's like your deconditioning process, like getting your mind to agree with, okay, this is the experiment, this is the paradigm that I'm going to install into my body. The installation process takes 7 years, so that all of the cells in your body are like on the same page, right? Flowbug, this is crazy. You mean my ear talks to me when I touch my right ear, and I can literally tell. Again, it's like experiment. When the more you connect with your own body and you ask questions to your own body, the more answers you're going to get. Most people don't, they think they're crazy if they do that, but you're crazy if you don't do that. But anyway, oh my God, that resonates to me, this issue of mine, because these people also tend to have defined spleens. Yeah, Mathilda. So if I like, I have an undefined spleen as well. And it's like when, when my undefined spleen, like when I'm around someone with a defined spleen, like my partner, I'm like I want to be cozy, I want to be close to her, and sometimes she's like, no, I don't want to do that, and I have to not take that personally, or either I get to learn how to not take that personally, because like that's my partner. Is like, aren't you supposed to like want to be close to me? But again, it's like her spleen, it's, I don't take it personally, it's just her spleen that's like, nope, not right now. Like, I'm the spleen's job, and especially if it's a defined spleen, is to keep you healthy and safe, which means you're getting too close. I need you to be closer. Like it's very particular about things. But anyway, yeah, the spleen is a very judgmental center, because it's like, are you food or am I food? This is something I learned from my buddy Eric. He goes, I recently realized that my spleen is just trying to figure out. He's a defined spleen guy. He's a splenic projector as well. He's actually in the archive as well. Super like, super low key, absolutely brilliant when it comes to human design, and an insane music producer. Probably in my from my projections, if he continues on his course, he'll be like playing. He'll be like headlining Coachella in the next 10 years. Maybe even sooner. His music is really really good. Um, but anyway, he's like, yo, my spleen is like, are you food or am I food? And it's great because I've never really viewed the world that way, but especially with when it comes to splenic information, because again, spleen is very much so survival and the health of the body. Oh my God, this tea is dummy good. Um, that's what it's trying to figure out, and so it'll talk some smack. And mind can use the and judgmental center. But again, it's like judgments aren't bad. Judgments are what prevent you from getting in the car with somebody who's been drinking, or they prevent you from, you know, doing any kind of like spleen prevents you from offing yourself essentially. And so anyway, yeah, and it's like it's all good, Jenny. I hope you're doing well. I really do. See, I'm an MG. Why are all my clients and friends projectors? Like to freak them out. So projectors and generators and manifesting generators, they're kind of made for each other. And what I mean by that is, if a projector and a manifesting generator get on the same page, and they're both comprehending more than communicating. They're not just communicating with each other. They comprehend the other. They're able to see each other. That's probably one of the most powerful. That's probably one of the most powerful combinations on the planet. So, Jenna, what I would say is the reason you have a lot of projectors in your life is probably because you're able to recognize them. There are not a lot of generators and manifesting generators that are able to properly recognize a projector. Projectors typically, awakened projectors will typically only want to hang around with people that are able to recognize them, right? And this usually means that their circles are very small, because again, the majority of the people Not only is 70% of the population either a generator or a manifesting generator, but most of the population is like, they're sleeping. They're sleeping. They're eating food that dulls their senses. They're doing activities that dull their senses. They're doing so many things that have them living life with blinders on. And so even if there's a good projector in front of them, they're not able to see them. And if the projector genuinely is good in front of them, the projector will not initiate anything. They'll just wait to be recognized. And if the time comes for them to leave and they feel the invitation to leave, they'll leave. One thing I want to say about projectors really quick is you do not need an invitation to leave. If you're in a relationship that's not healthy for you, your spleen is telling you to get out, your emotions, you've read through emotional waves and you're like, this is not good, I'm not being treated well, whatever it is, like you don't need your partner who is maybe abusive or your boss who's maybe taking advantage of you and manipulating you. You don't need an invitation to leave. Your strategy of waiting for an invitation is to help you enter into things. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard, right? Like if you have an invitation to leave, like if I invite you, I say, hey, right now, if there's anything in your life that you're feeling like, I don't feel seen, I don't feel witnessed, I want to invite you right now to leave. I'm giving you some of my energy and encouraging you. That is easier, having an invitation to leave, than just leaving. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary for you to leave. Does that make sense, guys? And I want that to be very clear for projectors. Like, use your strategy to enter into things, but not to leave. Like, if your authority tells you to leave, that's your invitation to leave. So leave. Any insight on manifestors? Yeah, I know it's challenging to inform people and initiate and start things, and sometimes it might feel like a burden, but you deserve peace, and the only way you're going to get peace is if you get really good at being okay with being too much at times. Because the reality is you're not too much, right? Because here's the thing about manifestors, and there's another creator here. She's a witch. She's awesome, very edgy, but she's so beautifully differentiated. Chiwan, I think, is her handle. But she explained it so well, and she said that being a manifester is like being in a car, and informing is like telling people to get out of the way so that when you pull out of your driveway, you don't run them over. Now, it might be like, oh, they're doing something over there, but the alternative is to run them over. Because as a manifester, like, you're going to do what you're going to do. And if you can just inform people of what you're going to do before you do it, things just go so much smoother for you. Like, that's how you access peace on the material plane, is by letting people know and initiating things, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be the one to bring them to completion. And in fact, your role is really more so about finding people who genuinely have the sacral ooh or response to the invitation, like, yes, thank you for seeing me, I can totally do that. That's your role as a manifester. And the best way to find a yes is to look for the no's, right? Look for all the people that don't want to do the job. Eventually, you'll find somebody that genuinely wants to do the job or genuinely wants to do this. Now, and also, one thing, as a manifestor woman, I recognize that society has created this illusion that it's supposed to be the man who's supposed to be the one to initiate. But as a woman manifester, typically what happens is there's a lot of generator men that will attempt to initiate on the manifester woman, and they're doing that to try to prove themselves, or there's a lot of other reasons why they would be doing that. But it's very unnatural. The best relationship you're going to have in your life as a manifestor woman is the one that you initiate. Find the most satisfied generator, find the most successful projector, find the most surprising reflector, and initiate a relationship with them. Hey, like, I'm thinking I'd really like it if you took me out. Well, then I'd love to take you out, right? It doesn't have to be like you always have to be the one leading and you can't surrender into your womanhood. It's quite the opposite. But you have to be direct in that way, which I understand that is not something that comes supernatural for women. But as a manifester, again, informing is also not necessarily a natural strategy. But if you look at your life, right, and you look at, wow, if I had been better at informing, letting people knowing where I was at or my intentions and where I was going, would there not be more peace in your life? That's what we say. My father is a manifester and he finds it difficult to inform others. Yeah, again, it's like, it's not a natural strategy. It's something that we have in human design because of the impact of a manifester when they don't inform others, right? And so it's again, it's similar to Edison. how when he was asked, how does it feel to have failed 1,000 times to make the light bulb and then finally get it right, and he goes, I didn't fail 1,000 times, I found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb, but I only needed to find one, how to make it work. And so that's kind of what it is with a manifester. It's like it sucks being angry. It sucks being angry. And as a manifester, when you're not informing, when you're not doing initiating, suddenly everyone's blaming you. Suddenly everyone is trying to manipulate you. Suddenly everyone is putting you on this pedestal and trying to get you to live up to their standards. And it's because you're not informing. So and you'll be like, why is this happening? Like, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm not like pushing things on anyone. And it's like, that's why it's happening, because because your aura is doing that. Your aura is like moving things along, moving things forward, pushing things, initiating things, moving things away. And so if you want people in your life, you either have to include them as the manifester, or they're going to get pushed away by your aura. And if you have anybody in your life that you're like, man, it's so hard to talk to this person, we have such a good relationship and we have fun together and all that, but there's like this wall, they might be a manifester. And until they start to embrace that, unfortunately, it's like they're not going to, how you say, yeah, they're just going to be angry until they learn how to do this. So yeah, when he doesn't inform his business partner or my mother, he creates chaos around him. Right. And then he's like, why is this happening? It's like, but it's because it's like, hey, dude, you gotta be the manifester. So say, can you give any insight into the right angle cross to the unexpected? So right angle cross is personal destiny. So it's like around 30 is when the incarnation cross starts to come out. So everything before 30, consider that like your trial period. Once you hit 30, that's when your Saturn return happens. That's when a lot of things start to coalesce in your human design experiment. And essentially, what you're here to do is create a personal destiny, fulfill a personal destiny of doing the unexpected or having creative solutions. The incarnation crosses are based off of four gates. That's your personality, sun and earth, and your design, sun and earth. And so it's pretty how you say, vague in a lot of ways, because it's not necessarily a destination so much as a kind of synopsis of your journey, right? Lol, it be in your own aura. Right, yeah, exactly. And this the thing is, like, it's so hard for me as a reflector to be around manifestors that don't initiate, or that refuse to initiate, or refuse to inform. Um, can you guys hear me? Misty Admama. Why can't I hear him? Misty, try to leave the chat and come back. Well, if you can't hear me, then I guess that's But anyway, um, let's see. I gotta get my partner set up on the archive over here. I was like, my partner Emerald. I was like, hey, do you want to do this class with me? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. You can sit next to me. And she's like, no, 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 no. I want to do it in my own space. So anyway. Say, what would you say about manifesting generators trying to be in partnership with generators? I would say recognize the subtle difference in your styles. Like mangens tend to be like multitaskers, generators get overwhelmed by that, right? One of the biggest issues in generator relationships, generator manifesting generator relationships, is like the pacing of things, right? And also the difference in, like, well, I'm an to that, but you're an to that. Where's the middle ground? The middle ground is you do what you do what you want, or they do what they want, and that's it. You don't compromise with each other. You find areas where your energy is already aligned, and because that's one of the biggest things, is like a partnership and a union doesn't necessarily mean that you lose yourselves to become this new thing. It's more so like you're welcoming a child in, and you do what you can to nurture the relationship, the child or the composite between you two, but it doesn't control you in that way. All right, guys. Well, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to hop off here. I'm going to give myself some time to get set up with the archive. And for those of you that are here, thank you so much for being. Let me hold on. Actually, let me send a text real quick. Please, please, one moment. But I'm gonna end the live here so I can get set up with the archive. But in an hour, guys, we're going to have a class on sensory design. So this is exclusively for the people in the archive. The archive is a $37 a month membership. That is the early entry price. Okay, this thing is gonna go up, but if you get in at the early entry price, that's gonna be your price for the rest of your life. You can also pay the annual, which you save, I think, you save like over $100 um, by doing the annual. I think it's 333 is what I set it up at. So it's either 37 bucks a month for the year, or for 12 months, or 333 for the entire year. And you're gonna get the sensory design classes. You're gonna get this exclusive live that I do, where I'm able to like pull up your charts, because I'll be able to go into the archive and pull up your chart, and we can talk more specifically about that kind of stuff. There's a lot of courses already in there. Not necessarily trying to like over explain the archive, but if you want to get that, just go to um, the link in my bio, or visit reikimarco.com. Actually, I need to create a link for it on my website now. 3-5 guys, 3-5 reflector over here running a membership. So there's bumps on the road, but it's overall, it's like this stuff is awesome. So anyway, thank you guys for participating in this live. This was like a pretty mellow live in terms of in terms of TikTok and all that stuff. Um, and the early entry price is going to be available probably for about my guess is, I mean, it really depends. I'm pretty sure on like by the end of January it's going to be gone, because the rave calendar shifts into a new year on the 21st of January, which is a topic for another time. Um, but yeah, so I would say you're safe for like the end of the year. I'm not gonna bump it up before the end of the year, but if you want to be safe, get in before the end of the year, because if things really start to pick up, which I'm already feeling like, oh my god, there's this is like really starting to pick up. We want to make sure that the archive is still something that is, feels like an intimate experience. And so anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm from YouTube. We're streaming on Twitch now as well. And in the archive, guys, thank you so much. I'll be seeing you guys in an hour. Be prepared. There's nothing that you need, but I would definitely recommend to like hydrate, and then either have like a notepad or something to write down on like some of your feelings. And Yeah, or like a notes section open on your computer. This is a live class, and it will be recorded and put into the archive. So again, if you missed the live class, no worries. It's going to be put as a course in the archive. And the archive for you, Jenny, is it's my membership. I don't know if you remember, I was talking about my membership, and yeah, I'm really excited about it, because we have our first class today. If you want to get signed up for that, Jenny, again, just go to the links in my bio. There's a button that says the archive. It'll take you to a landing page. There's a video for you to watch, but then you just click the button that says access your archive. You put in your information, you make your payment, and then you'll get an email to get set up in the archive. You have about an hour. So this sensory design class is going to go live in an hour. And again, if you want to get access to that, just go to the link in my bio, click the archive button, fill out the form on that page, and you'll get some emails, and you'll get set up on the archive. It's pretty simple and straightforward. But with that, I love you guys. Thank you so much for participating. Hopefully I'll be seeing some of you in an hour for our first sensory design class with Pasha. Okay, love you guys. Catch you later. All right. Peace, everyone that's still here. I'll see you guys in the archive. I'll see you back in the archive in a hot minute. Catch you guys later. Bye.